The name of the book is Business Law. It was published by M.C. Kochel in the year 2016. This subject is mainly studied in BCom program, first year, second semester. Chapter number 2. Offer and Acceptance. While discussing the essential elements of a valid contract in the preceding chapter, we observed that as a first step in the making of a contract, there must be a lawful offer by one party and a lawful acceptance of the offer by the other party. Thus, where A offers to sell a wristwatch to B for Rs 200 and B accepts the offer, a contract comes into being provided other essentials of a valid contract like that of competency of parties to contract, etc. are present. We propose to discuss in this chapter the legal rules relating to a lawful offer and a lawful acceptance. The proposal or offer. The words proposal and offer are synonymous and are used interchangeably. Section 2A of the Indian Contract Act defines a proposal as when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything, with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. This definition reveals the following three essentials of a proposal. Number 1. It must be an expression of the willingness to do or to abstain from doing something. Number 2. The expression of willingness to do or to abstain from doing something must be to another person. There can be no proposal by a person to himself. Number 3. The expression of willingness to do or to abstain from doing something must be made with a view to obtaining the assent of the other person to such act or abstinence. Thus, a casual inquiry, "Do you intend to sell your motorcycle?" is not a proposal. Similarly, a mere statement of intention, "I may sell my motorcycle if I can get Rs 14,000 for it," is not a proposal. But if M says to N, "Will you buy my motorcycle for Rs 14,000?" or "I am willing to sell my motorcycle to you for Rs 14,000, we have a proposal as it has been made with the object of obtaining the assent of N. The person making the proposal or offer is called the promiser or offerer. The person to whom the offer is made is called the offeree, and the person accepting the offer is called the promisee or acceptor. Legal rules regarding a valid offer. A valid offer must be in conformity with the following rules. Number 1. An offer may be express or implied. An offer may be made either by words or by conduct. An offer which is expressed by words, spoken or written, is called an express offer, and the one which is inferred from the conduct of a person or the circumstances of the case is called an implied offer. Illustrations. Part A. M says to N that he is willing to sell his motorcycle to him for Rs 20,000. This is an express offer. Part B. A shoe shiner starts shining someone's shoes without being asked to do so. In such circumstances that any reasonable man could guess that he expects to be paid for this, he makes an implied offer. Number 2. An offer must contemplate to give rise to legal consequences and be capable of creating legal relations. If the offer does not intend to give rise to legal consequences, it is not a valid offer in the eye of law. An offer to a friend to dine at the offerer's place or an offer to one's wife to show her a movie is not a valid offer and as such cannot give rise to a binding agreement, even though it is accepted and there is consideration, because in social agreements or domestic arrangements, the presumption is that the parties do not intend legal consequences to follow the breach of agreement. But in the case of agreements regulating business transactions, and the presumption is just the other way. In business agreements, it is taken for granted that parties intend legal consequences to follow. Number 3. The terms of the offer must be certain and not loose or vague. If the terms of the offer are not definite and certain, it does not amount to a lawful offer. Mogham L.J. has rightly observed, "Unless all the material terms of the contract are agreed, there is no binding obligation." Thus, an agreement to agree in future is not a contract, because the terms of agreement are uncertain as they are yet to be settled. Illustrations. Part A. X purchased a horse from Y and promised to buy another if the first one proves lucky. X refused to buy the second horse. Y could not enforce the agreement, it being loose and vague. Part B. A offers to B lavish entertainment if B does a particular work for him. A's offer does not amount to lawful offer, being vague and uncertain. Number 4. An invitation to offer is not an offer. An offer must be distinguished from an invitation to receive offer or as it is sometimes expressed in judicial language, an invitation to treat. In the ease of an invitation to receive offer, the person sending out the invitation does not make an offer but only invites the other party to make an offer. His object is merely to circulate information that he is willing to deal with anybody who, on such information, is willing to open negotiations with him. Such invitations for offers are therefore not offers in the eye of the law and do not become agreements by their acceptance. For example, quotations, catalogues of prices, or display of goods with prices marked thereon do not constitute an offer. They are instead an invitation for offer, and hence if a customer asks for good or makes an offer, the shopkeeper is free to accept the offer or not. Number 5. An offer may be specific or general. An offer is said to be specific when it is made to a definite person or persons. Such an offer can be accepted only by the person or persons to whom it is made. Thus, where M makes an offer to N to sell his bicycle for rupees 200, there is a special offer and N alone can accept it. A general offer, on the other hand, is one which is made to the world at large or public in general and may be accepted by any person who fulfills the requisite conditions. The leading case on the subject of general offer is that of Carlyle versus Carbolic Small Ball Company. Illustration. In the above case, the Carbolic Small Ball Company issued an advertisement in which the company offered to pay £100 to any person who contracts influenza after having used their smoke balls 3 times daily for 2 weeks, according to the printing directions. Mrs. Carlyle, on the faith of the advertisement, bought and used the balls according to the directions. But she nevertheless subsequently suffered from influenza. She sued the company for the promised reward. The company was held liable. Offers of reward made by way of advertisement addressed to the public at large for the rendering of certain services or the restoration of lost article are also examples of general offers. Such offers may be accepted by information of the conditions by an individual person in order to give rise to a contractual obligation to pay the reward. Number 6. An offer must be communicated to the offeree. An offer is effective only when it is communicated to the offeree. Until the offer is made known to the offeree, there can be no acceptance and no contract. Doing anything in ignorance of the offer can never be treated as its acceptance, for was never a consensus of wills. This implies to both specific and general offers. Illustrations. Part A. A, without knowing that a reward has been offered for the arrest of a particular criminal, catches the criminal and gives the information to the superintendent of police. A cannot recover the reward as he cannot be said to have accepted the offer when he was not at all aware of it. Part B. In Lalman Shukla vs. Gauri Dutt, the defendant's nephew absconded from home. He sent his servant, the plaintiff, in search of the boy. After the servant had left, the defendant announced a reward of rupees 501 to anybody giving information relating to the boy. The servant, before seeing the announcement, had traced the boy and informed the defendant. Later, on reading the notice of reward, the servant claimed it. His suit was dismissed on the ground that he could not accept the offer unless he had knowledge of it. Number 7. An offer should not contain a term the non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance. Thus, an offerer cannot say that if acceptance is not communicated up to a certain date, the offer would be presumed to have been accepted. If the offeree does not reply, there is no contract, because no obligation to reply can be imposed on him on the grounds of justice. Number 8. An offer can be made to any terms and conditions. An offerer may attach any terms and conditions to the offer he makes. He may even prescribe the mode of acceptance. The offeree will have to accept all the terms of the offer. There is no contract unless all the terms of the offer are complied with and accepted in the mode prescribed. As regards mode of acceptance, it must be noted that in case of deviated acceptance, for example, if the offerer asks for sending the acceptance by telegram and the offeree sends the acceptance by post, the offerer may decline to treat that acceptance as valid acceptance provided he gives a notice to that effect to the offeree within a reasonable time after the acceptance is communicated to him. If he does not inform the offeree to this effect, he is deemed to have accepted the deviated acceptance. Section 7. Number 9. Two identical cross offers do not make a contract. When two parties make identical offers to each other and in ignorance of each other's offer, the offers are cross offers. Cross offers do not constitute acceptance of one's offer by the other, and as such there is no completed agreement. Illustration. On 15th October 2008, A wrote to B offering to sell him 100 tons of iron at Rs 25,000 per ton. On the same day, B wrote to A offering to buy 100 tons of iron at Rs 25,000 per ton. The letters crossed in the post. There is no concluded contract between A and B because the offers were simultaneous, each being made in ignorance of the other, and there is no acceptance of each other's offer. Lapse and revocation of offer. An offer lapses and becomes invalid, that is, comes to an end in the following circumstances. Number 1. An offer lapses after stipulated or reasonable time. An offer lapses if acceptance is not communicated within the time prescribed in the offer, or if no time is prescribed within a reasonable time. Section 6.2. What is a reasonable time is a question of fact depending upon the circumstances of each case. For example, an offer made by telegram suggests that a reply is required urgently, and if the offeree delays the communication of his acceptance even by a day or two, the offer will be considered to have lapsed. Illustration. In Ramsgate Victoria Hotel Company versus Montefiore, an application for allotment of shares was made on 8th June. The applicant was informed on the 23 November that shares were allowed to him. He refused to accept them. He was held that his offer had lapsed by reason of the delay of the company in notifying their acceptance, and that he was not bound to accept the shares. Number 2. An offer lapses by not being accepted in the mode prescribed, or if no mode is prescribed in some usual and reasonable manner. But according to Section 7, if the offeree does not accept the offer according to the mode prescribed, the offer does not lapse automatically. It is for the offerer to insist that his proposal shall be accepted only in the prescribed manner, and if he fails to do so, he is deemed to have accepted the acceptance. Number 3. An offer lapses by rejection. An offer lapses if it has been rejected by the offeree. The rejection may be expressed, that is, by words spoken or written, or implied. Implied rejection is 1. Part A, where either the offeree makes a counter offer, or Part B, where the offeree gives a conditional acceptance. Illustrations. Number 1. A offered to sell his house to B for Rs 90,000. B offered Rs 80,000, for which price A refused to sell. Subsequently, B offered to purchase the house Rs 90,000. A declined to adhere to his original offer. B filed a suit to obtain specific performance of the alleged contract. Dismissing the suit, the court held that A was justified because no contract had come into existence, as B, by offering Rs 80,000, had rejected the original offer. Subsequent willingness to pay Rs 90,000 could be no acceptance of A's offer, as there was no offer to accept. The original offer had already come to an end on account of counter offer. Hyde versus Wrench. Number 2. A offered to sell his motor car to B for Rs 85,000. B said that he accepted the offer if he was appointed as general manager of A's factory. B's acceptance is a conditional acceptance which amounts to rejection of A's offer, and there is no contract. Number 4. An offer lapses by the death or insanity of the offerer or the offeree before acceptance. If the offerer dies or becomes insane before acceptance, the offer lapses provided that the fact of his death or insanity comes to the knowledge of the acceptor before acceptance. Section 6.4. From the language of the section, it may be inferred that an acceptance in ignorance of the death or insanity of the offerer is a valid acceptance and gives rise to a contract. Thus, the fact of death or insanity of the offerer would not put an end to the offer until it comes to the notice of the acceptor before acceptance. An offeree's death or insanity before accepting the offer puts an end to the offer and his heirs cannot accept for him. Reynolds versus Atherton. Number 5. An offer lapses by revocation. An offer is revoked when it is retracted back by the offerer. An offer may be revoked at any time before acceptance by the communication of notice of revocation by the offerer to the other party. Section 6.1. For example, at an auction sale, A makes the highest bid, but he withdraws the bid before the fall of the hammer. There cannot be a concluded contract because the offer has to be revoked before acceptance. Further, an offer agreed to be kept open for a definite period may be revoked even before the expiry of that period unless there is some consideration for so keeping it open. The effect of fixing a time for acceptance is merely to fix a time beyond which the offer cannot be accepted. Where no time limit is set, the offer cannot be accepted after a reasonable time. Illustration. M offers to sell his house to N for rupees 1,40,000. N says to M that if he agrees to keep the offer open for 10 days, he, N, will pay him 1,000 rupees. M agrees. M cannot revoke the offer before the expiry of 10 days as N has obtained an option to purchase the house within 10 days. If M revokes the offer before the expiry of 10 days, he can be sued for breach of option contract. Number 6. Revocation by non-fulfillment of a condition precedent to acceptance. An offer stands revoked if the offeree fails to fulfill a condition precedent to acceptance. Section 6(3). Thus, where A offers to sell his scooter to B for rupees 4,000, if B joins the Lions Club within a week, the offer stands revoked and A cannot be accepted by it if B fails to join the Lions Club. Number 7. An offer lapses by subsequent illegality or destruction of subject matter. An offer lapses if it is made illegal after it is made and before it is accepted. Thus, where an offer is made to sell 10 bags of wheat for rupees 6,500 and before it is accepted, a law prohibiting the sale of wheat by private individuals is enacted, the offer comes to an end. In the same manner, an offer may lapse if the thing which is the subject matter of the offer is destroyed or substantially impaired before acceptance. The acceptance. A contract, as already observed, emerges from the acceptance of an offer. Section 2(v) states that a proposal when accepted becomes a promise and defines as when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. Thus, acceptance is the manifestation by the offeree of his assent to the terms of the offer. Legal rules regarding a valid acceptance. A valid acceptance must be in conformity with the following rules. Number 1. Acceptance must be given only by the person to whom the offer is made. An offer can be accepted only by the person or persons to whom it is made and with whom it imports an intention to contract. It cannot be accepted by another person without the consent of the offerer. The rule of law is clear that if you propose to make a contract with A, then B can't substitute himself for A without your consent. An offer made to a particular person can be validly accepted by him alone. Similarly, an offer made to a class of persons, that is, teachers, can be accepted by any member of that class. An offer made to the world at large can be accepted by any person who has knowledge of the existence of the offer. Illustration. A sold his business to his manager without disclosing the fact to his customers. C, a customer who had running account with A, sent an order for the supply of goods to A by name. B received the order and executed the same. C refused to pay the price. It was held that there was no contract between B and C because C never made any offer to B, and as such, C was not liable to pay the price to B. Boulton versus Jones. Number 2. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Section 7(1). In order to be legally effective, it must be an absolute and unqualified acceptance of all the terms of the offer. Even the slightest deviation from the terms of the offer makes the acceptance invalid. In effect, a deviated acceptance is regarded as a counter-offer in law. Illustration. L offered to M his scooter for rupees 4,000. M accepted the offer and tendered rupees 3,900 cash down, promising to pay the balance of rupees 100 by the evening. There is no contract as the acceptance was not absolute and unqualified. Number 3. Acceptance must be expressed in some usual and reasonable manner, unless the proposal prescribes the manner in which it is to be accepted. Section 7(2). If the offerer prescribes no mode of acceptance, the acceptance must be communicated according to some usual and reasonable mode. The usual modes of communication are by word of mouth, by post, and by conduct. When acceptance is given by word spoken or written or by post or telegram, it is called an express acceptance. When acceptance is given by conduct, it is called an implied or tacit acceptance. Implied acceptance may be given either by doing some required act, for example, tracing the lost goods for the announced reward, or by accepting some benefit or service, for example, stepping in a public bus by a passenger. If the offerer prescribes a mode of acceptance, the acceptance given accordingly will no doubt be a valid acceptance, even if it is prescribed mode is funny. Thus, if the offerer prescribes lighting a match as a mode of acceptance and the offeree accordingly lights the match, the acceptance is effective and complete. But what happens if the offeree deviates from the prescribed mode? The answer to this query is given in section 7.2 itself, which states that in cases of deviated acceptances, the proposer may, with the reasonable time after the acceptance is communicated to him, insist that his proposal shall be accepted in the prescribed manner and not otherwise. But if he fails to do so, he accepts the deviated acceptance. Illustration. If the offerer prescribes acceptance by telegram and the offeree sends acceptance through a messenger, there is no acceptance of the offer. If the offerer informs the offeree that the acceptance is not according to the mode prescribed, but if the offerer fails to do so, it will be presumed that he has accepted the acceptance and a valid contract will arise. It should be noted that law does not allow any offerer to prescribe silence as the mode of acceptance. Thus, a person cannot say if within a certain time acceptance is not communicated, the offer would be considered as accepted. Similarly, a trader who, of his own, without receiving any order, sends goods to some person with a letter saying, "If I do not hear from you by the next Monday, I shall presume that you have bought the goods," cannot impose a contract on the unwilling recipient. It is so because in the absence of such a rule, the offerees will be at the mercy of offerers unless they reply all such offers in negative, which will certainly be causing a lot of inconvenience and financial burden to them. Mental acceptance ineffectual. Mental acceptance or quiet assent not evidenced by words or conduct does not amount to a valid acceptance, and this is so even where the offerer has said that such a mode of acceptance will suffice. Acceptance must be communicated to the offerer, otherwise it has no effect. Illustration. A person received an offer by letter. In reply, he wrote a letter of acceptance, put the letter in his drawer and forgot all about it. Held this uncommunicated acceptance did not amount to acceptance and so did not complete the contract. Brogdon versus Metropolitan Railway Corporation. Number 4. Acceptance must be communicated by the acceptor. For an acceptance to be valid, it must not be made by the offeree but must be communicated by or with the authority of the offeree or acceptor to the offerer. Illustration. In Powell versus Lee, P was a candidate for the post of the headmaster in a school. The managing committee of the school passed a resolution selecting him for the post. A member of the managing committee, acting in his individual capacity, informed P that he had been selected, but P received no other intimation. Subsequently, the resolution was cancelled, and P was not appointed to the post. P filed a suit against the committee for breach of contract. The court held that, in the absence of an authorized communication from the committee, there was no binding contract. Number 5. Acceptance must be given within a reasonable time and before the offer lapses and/or is revoked. To be legally effective, acceptance must be given within the specified time limit, if any, and if no time is stipulated, acceptance must be given within a reasonable time because an offer cannot be kept open indefinitely. Shri Jaya Mahal Corporation Housing Society versus Zenith Chemicals Works Private Limited. Again, the acceptance must be given before the offer is revoked or lapses by reason of offeree's knowledge of the death or insanity of the offerer. Number 6. Acceptance must succeed the offer. Acceptance must be given after receiving the offer. It should not precede the offer. In a company, shares were allotted to a person who had not applied for them. Subsequently, he applied for shares being unaware of the previous allotment. It was held that the allotment of shares previous to the applicant was invalid. Number 7. Rejected offers can be accepted only if renewed. Offer once rejected cannot be accepted until again a fresh offer is made. Hyde versus Wrench. Communication of offer, acceptance and revocation. When the contracting parties are face to face and negotiate in person, there is instantaneous communication of offer and acceptance, and a valid contract comes into existence the moment the offeree gives his absolute and unqualified acceptance to the proposal made by the offerer. The question of revocation of either offer or acceptance does not arise For in such cases, a definite order is made and accepted instantly at one and the same time. But where services of the post office are utilized for communicating among themselves by the contracting parties because they are at a distance from one another, it is not always easy to ascertain the exact time at which an offer or and an acceptance is made or revoked. In these cases, the following rules as laid down in sections 4 and 5 will be applicable. Communication of an offer. The communication of an offer is complete when it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is made, that is, when the letter containing the offer reaches the offeree. Number 2. Communication of an acceptance. The communication of an acceptance has two aspects, viz. As against the prosperer and as against the acceptor. The communication of an acceptance is complete. Part A, as against the proposer, which it is put in a course of transmission to him so as to be out of power of the acceptor, and Part B, as against the acceptor, when it comes to the knowledge of the prosperer, that is, when the letter of acceptance is received by the proposer. Illustrations. Part A. A proposes by letter to sell a house to B for rupees 80,000. The letter is posted on 6th instant. The letter reaches B on 8th instant. The communication of the offer is complete when B, the offeree, receives the letter, that is, on 8th. Part B. B accepts A's proposal in the above case by a letter sent by post on 9th instant. The letter reaches A on 11th instant. The communication of the acceptance is complete as against A when the letter is posted, that is on 9th, and as against B when the letter is received by A, that is on 11th. Number 3. Communication of a revocation. The communication of a revocation is complete. Part A, as against the person who makes it, when it is put into a course of transmission to the person to whom it is made so as to be out of power of the person revoking, that is, when the letter of revocation is posted, and Part B, as against the person to whom it is made when it comes to his knowledge, that is, when the letter of revocation is received by him. Illustrations. Part A. In the illustration given above, A offers his offer by letter on 8th instant. The letter reaches B on 10th instant. The revocation is complete as against A on 8th when the letter of revocation is posted. It is complete as against B on 10th when the letter of revocation is received by him. Part B. In the illustration above, B revokes his acceptance by letter on 10th instant. The letter reaches A on 12th instant. The revocation is complete as against B on 10th, the date of which the letter of revocation is posted, and as against A on 12th, the date on which the letter reaches him. Time during which an offer or acceptance can be revoked. In the illustrations Part A and Part B given above, there arises a question whether the revocation of offer by A is operative or not, or whether the revocation of acceptance by B is operative or not. For answering this question, it is necessary to know the limit of time within which an offer or acceptance can be revoked. Section 5 deals with this question and provides as follows. A proposal may be revoked at any time before the communication of its acceptance is complete as against the prosperer, but not afterwards. Acceptance may be revoked at any time before the communication of the acceptance is complete as against the acceptor, but not afterwards. Applying Section 5 to our illustrations given above, A may revoke his offer at any time before or at the moment when B posts his letter of acceptance, that is, 9th, but not afterwards. B may revoke his acceptance at any time before or at any moment when the letter of acceptance reaches A, that is 11th, but not afterwards. While discussing the rule regarding communication of revocation, we have observed earlier that the revocation of offer is complete as against B, the acceptor, on 10th, when the letter of revocation is received by him. As B posts his letter of acceptance on 9th and the communication of acceptance is complete as against A on the day of posting itself, that is 9th, A's revocation of his offer, which is complete as against B on 10th, is inoperative. B's acceptance is valid and there shall be a binding contract. For the sake of practice of the rules regarding communication of offer, acceptance and revocation discussed above, we take another illustration. Illustration number 1. A offers by letter to sell his car to B for rupees 75,000 on 1st August. B receives the letter on 3rd August. Number 2. B puts the letter of acceptance in post on 4th August, which reaches A on 6th. Number 3. A writes a letter of revocation of his offer and posts it on 3rd August, which reaches B on 5th August. Rules applied. In 1. Communication of offer is complete on 3rd August. That is when it comes to the knowledge of B. In 2, communication of acceptance is complete as against the prosperer. That is A when the letter of acceptance is posted. That is on 4th, and as against the acceptor, that is B when the letter of acceptance reaches the proposer. That is on 6th August. In 3, revocation of offer is complete as against A on 3rd August when the letter of revocation is posted, and as against B on 5th August when the letter of revocation is received by him. Number 4. As B has put his acceptance into transmission on 4th August and the revocation of offer is communicated to him on 5th August, his acceptance is valid and there shall be a binding contract. A cannot revoke his offer after 4th August when the communication of acceptance is complete as against him. Effect of delay or loss of letter of acceptance is in postal transit. So far as the offerer is concerned, he is bound by the acceptance the moment the letter of acceptance is posted, although the letter is delayed or wholly lost through an accident of the post and the letter never in fact reaches him. So far as the acceptor is concerned, he is not bound by the letter of acceptance till it reaches the offerer. Until the letter of acceptance reaches the offerer, the contract remains voidable at the instant of the acceptor. He can compel the offerer to enforce the contract, or he may revoke his acceptance by communicating his revocation at any time before the letter reaches the offerer. Thus, the acceptor is at an advantage if the letter is delayed or lost in transit. Summary of the chapter, Offer and Acceptance. Section 2A of the Indian Contract Act defines a proposal as when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or to abstain from doing anything with a view to obtaining the assent of that other to such act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. Legal rules regarding a valid offer. Number 1. An offer may be express or implied. Number 2. An offer must contemplate to give rise to legal consequences and be capable of creating legal relations. Number 3. The terms of the offer must be certain and not loose or vague. Number 4. An invitation to offer is not an offer. Number 5. An offer may be specific or general. Number 6. An offer must be communicated to the offeree. Number 7. An offer should not contain a term the non-compliance of which would amount to acceptance. Number 8. An offer can be made subject to any terms and conditions. Number 9. Two identical cross offers do not make a contract. An offer lapses and becomes invalid in the following circumstances. Number 1. An offer lapses after stipulated or reasonable time. Number 2. An offer lapses by not being accepted in the mode prescribed or if no mode is prescribed in some usual and reasonable manner. Number 3. An offer lapses by rejection. Number 4. An offer lapses by the death or insanity of the offerer or the offeree before acceptance. Number 5. An offer lapses by revocation. Number 6. Revocation by non-fulfillment of a condition precedent to acceptance. Number 7. An offer lapses by subsequent illegality or destruction of subject matter. Legal rules regarding a valid acceptance. A valid acceptance must be in conformity with the following rules. Number 1. Acceptance must be given only by the person to whom the offer is made. Number 2. Acceptance must be absolute and unqualified. Number 3. Acceptance must be expressed in some usual and reasonable manner unless the proposal prescribes the manner in which it is to be accepted. Number 4. Acceptance must be communicated by the acceptor. Number 5. Acceptance must be given within a reasonable time and before the offer lapses and/or is revoked. Number 6. Acceptance must succeed the offer. Number 7. Rejected offers can be accepted only if renewed. Text questions. Question number 1. Define the term offer. Explain the legal rules regarding a valid offer. Question number 2. An invitation to offer is not an offer. Elucidate the statement. Question number 3. Discuss the circumstances under which an offer lapses and stands revoked. Give examples. Question number 4. What do you understand by the term acceptance? What are the essentials of a valid acceptance? Question number 5. A mere mental acceptance not evidenced by words or by conduct is, in the eye of the law, no acceptance. Explain this by giving examples. Number 6. Discuss briefly the law relating to communication of offer, acceptance, and revocation. Is there any limit of time after which offer and acceptance cannot be revoked? Question number 7. Define offer and acceptance. When communication of offer and acceptance is deemed to be complete if made through post. Practical problems. Answer the following problems giving reasons for your answers. Question number 1. Harish says during a conversation to Suresh that he will give rupees 10,000 to the person who marries his daughter. Alok marries Harish's daughter and files a suit to recover rupees 10,000. Will he succeed? Hint: no, Harish has expressed his wish only and has never made an offer with a view to obtaining the assent of the other party. Question number 2. X sees a book displayed in a shelf of a bookshop with a price tag of rupees 85. X tenders rupees 85 on the counter and asks for the book. The bookseller refuses to sell, saying that the book has already been sold to someone else and he does not have another copy of that book in the stock. Is the bookseller bound to sell the book to X? Hint: no. A display of goods with prices marked thereon is only invitation for offer and not an offer itself. Hence, the bookseller is free to accept the offer or not. Question number 3. B offers to sell his car to A for rupees 95,000. A accepts to purchase it for rupees 94,500. B refuses to sell the car for rupees 94,500. Subsequently, A agrees to purchase the car for rupees 95,000, but B refused to sell the car. A sues B for the specific performance of the contract. Will he succeed? Hint: no. B's offer comes to an end by the counter offer of A, and there was no offer available for acceptance subsequently. Question number 4. P sold his business to Q without disclosing this to his customers. M, an old customer, sent an orders for goods to P by name. Q, the new owner, executed the order. Is M bound to accept the goods? Hint: no, M is not bound to accept the goods because a view offer has made to P can be accepted only by P and none else, like Bolton versus Jones.